Good morning, Rapid Freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Friday, and I'm freaking out because I Woj bomb last night. Adrian Wojnarowski dropping a bomb about who the Raptors are interviewing for a coaching vacancy, and there were five new names that I did not know about that I saw, and I went and researched all five of them. I got the breakdown for all five of them for you guys today, this morning. We will talk about each one of them, including the top tier number one interviewee from the new names, Becky Hammon, head coach of the Las Vegas Aces, the current WNBA champions. And she is a rookie head coach from that organization. She won a championship in her first year as a coach of the Aces and only coached 1 year in the WNBA. Now, this is the thing. People are saying, listen, is this a token interview? Is this just like Masai trying to signal something or be like this or something? No, this is a legitimate interview. And she is somebody who could very much come in and take this job and do a damn fine job doing it. I'm not going to lie. Here, listen, she has connections to our team already. She coached Jakob Pertl for a few years already, and Jakob knows her very, very well. And he has only said good things. I think Joe Weezy's been around her too. Thaddeus Young has been around her, because we've had quite a few former Spurs on our team recently. So, she has connections to players that are already on this team. So it's not like she's completely foreign to some of the Raptors players. Now, there's a lot of issues with this. Infamous has come in last night and he said, well, we don't want to be the first experiment. Saying that like this would be an experiment. It would be a little bit different to have a female head coach for a team. And in some ways, I get what he's saying. But you know what? In some ways, this is actually could be an advantage. If you think about it, in some ways, this could very much be an advantage to have the first ever female head coach in the NBA ever. Masai would be breaking barriers. People say, well, why the fuck would Becky Hammon want to come here? She's in such a good spot, and the Raptors are kind of a mess. Well, there's a lot of reasons for her to come here. There's a lot of good reasons. A one and done championship on the WNBA level is kind of like, you know what? I can do this. This is easy. Let me have the next challenge. Let me do something for all females and break a glass ceiling and go in and normalize me coaching WNBA team is huge. This is like Jackie Robinson kind of shit. So this is like what I'm saying. This is a very let's not foo-foo this. You guys think that Masai's just fucking around and he thinks he's just like he's not serious about this? No, he doesn't do shit to be not serious. He's seriously interviewing her. And she is a top candidate at this point, y'all. Udoka out of there. In some ways, she has the most prestige of any of the candidates that are available at this point. Seriously. I mean, let me look at her resume. I've added her to the spreadsheet, guys, just so y'all know. And I want y'all to have the link. So I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the link again. And this way you guys can you can look at what I've been updated the link with as far as the new names, the new assistant coaches that were named by Woj yesterday. So you guys can look at my spreadsheet. It has all the information on it. It has the ages. It has their head coaching experience. It has who they developed. It has whether they would be a good fit with us or not, all this kind of stuff on there. And Becky, all right, listen, we'll look at Becky real quick. Becky Hammon is 46 years old. She has not coached in the NBA before, but she has coached 1 year in the WNBA. She has 8 years as an assistant coach in the NBA under Greg Popovich. She was in the Spurs franchise for a long time, and she did a lot of work under Popovich. She's very much a Popovich disciple. And the other thing about her is that, she got the chance to run that team when Greg was gone a couple of times, and she actually head coached and acting coached a couple of games already. So she does have a bit of experience with this. Now, another thing is she's a 16-year WNBA pro. And not only that, 16 years is a long time. She is considered one of the top greatest, now the NBA has the NBA 75 that they just did, the greatest 75 players in the history of the NBA. Well, she is in the greatest 30 WNBA players of all time. So this is kind of like we're dealing with somebody who's kind of like a Magic Johnson or a Larry Bird of the WNBA from the history. So there's a lot to her resume that's very big. Now, this is the thing. People like Paul Gasol, Jakob Pertl are quoted as saying that this lady can coach. that she really, really knows basketball and she knows how to win. Her win percentage for the Aces was 72% last season, and like no mercy, and they just won. Now, this is the thing. If she gets like players like Scotty Barnes and Precious Achua and OG Anunoby, you don't know what this woman could be capable of. And in some ways, we might have a really weird swagger next year if our head coach is Becky Hammon. Like, seriously, we may have a very strange swagger. And who knows how these guys may get motivated playing for a female head coach. In some ways, Chris talking about us being underdogs and how that kind of motivated us in recent years and how we lost that last year. Well, you want to be an underdog again, go get a female head coach and see how much that is a detriment or how it holds us back, and then kind of have a chip on our shoulders. Oh, our coach is a female? Well, we're going to come and beat your ass anyway. So there's a lot to like about this whole situation in some ways. Now, is it realistic that she's going to take the job and it's going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. If Masai really wants to get creative and crazy, a lot of this is going to have to do with what happens in the interviews. Him and Bobby will sit there and they'll listen to her say, like, well, what would you do with our team, Becky? How would you treat Fred and Pascal and Jakob and Scotty? How would you do this? And sit back and listen. And then if she presented something crazy like this, well, this is what I would do, Masai. And I would do this, and I would implement this kind of offense, and I would run this on defense. And Bobby and Masai are like, I like this. This sounds like this could actually work. That's what's going to be who wins this over. Out of all the people that they're interviewing, which is a lot of people, they're going to interview so many people. Trust me, they're going to interview like 25 people for sure for this job. They're going to be listening to them. And really, that is going to be the part that's going to win somebody this job. Whoever comes in and dazzles them and really makes them sold on their idea about how they can improve the Raptors and fix our team and make our team better for next year. She is a real candidate, y'all. Let's not poo-poo this shit, and let's not give her a discount just because she's female. She is one of our strongest candidates at this point. In fact, I've given her a blue box. I've given 5 people blue boxes: Jerry Stackhouse, Earl Watson, Adrian Griffin, Patrick Mutombo, and Becky Hammon, because I literally do believe these are our top 5 candidates right now that have been named to be the next head coach of the Toronto Raptors. There's so many good things in some ways about Becky. There's a lot unknown, but we do know she's a winner. That's for damn sure. She's a winner. She comes in here, she's going to bring a winning percentage. We could be like a 600 team again with her. She can do that. Trust me. That's the thing. She's got that competitive spirit. She's that kind of person. She was that way when she played in the WNBA. She was that way when she played in the Olympics. She's done a lot of crazy big accolades in women's basketball. So it's not like she's like a slouch or something. You see that what over my shoulder right there. That's the San Antonio Spurs logo. There's a reason why it's sitting over my shoulder today, because that's where she comes from. She comes from Popovich, and this is a very serious, real thing when you come from Popovich and you're that level of all kinds of things. So let's see. Leslie's got the first comments today. Let's see what Leslie's saying. Good morning, family. I really like and appreciate Becky Hammon. I know that she is a solid person. I'm not sure how much respect she will garner as the first female head coach. Well, human nature is weird. In some ways, you got to think about this. Some ways we kind of root for the underdog. Sometimes we kind of overcompensate and really look out for somebody who's breaking barriers. Is somewhat in our nature. And we may be surprised to find that if we do hire her, there's a very interesting effect about her being on this team where she may get way more respect than we think. Just because, you get raised right, you're taught to respect women. And maybe the referees and some of the people in the league will have little bit more favor in some ways. I could make that argument also, that it could go both ways. It could be that she's slighted. It could be that she's not treated right, maybe by some chauvinist refs or something like that. But there could very well be also favor for her. We don't know for sure. In some ways, people may be like, wow, this is really kind of impressive. And they may overcompensate and be like, well, you know what? We're going to give her a little more of a benefit of the doubt. So we don't know for sure, Leslie. I can't say for sure if she would have clout with the referees or not. She may, just because of her resume and where she comes from, but maybe not. Maybe she'll have a beef with one of the female refs. Like maybe she'll have like some sort of versus one of the female refs doesn't really like her. Like Sago and her don't like each other, and all of a sudden they're like, it could be something weird like that. I don't know. But to say that she won't get respect right off the bat, that may not be true. That may not be true at all, just because of her playing career, her accolades, the fact that she's a proven winning coach, and especially if her demeanor and her feistiness and the way she performs on the sideline is very, very good and sound. The referees may like her and respect her and may actually give us some favors. So we can't say this for sure, Leslie. We really, really can't. There's a lot unknown about this because this is very unknown. This is never done. You know, the Raptors as an organization, in some ways, we want to be known for being trendsetters, whether it's with Vision 6'9" or positionless basketball. Why not with a female head coach? This could be very, very interesting. I'm not against the idea. I know some people are very much like, no, let's not even do this. Like, this is a joke, Masai, right? You're just interviewing her to like make it look good. You're signaling. You're virtue signaling, Masai. No, that's not what this shit is. She's a real candidate, and she could actually really do this job, and she could do it very, very well. In fact, I would be totally feeling good if she was our coach. I wouldn't be upset, and I would be like, you know what? I have a lot of excitement to see how this goes and see how she could do. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see how the players react to being coached by her and whether they give it something different just because in some ways this is really interesting and neat and something that's it is a big deal. Like it would be a huge deal. Now people were saying, well, why the fuck would she leave Las Vegas? She's got it so good. She's got a powerful team, one of the top teams in the league that's gotten even more better since the offseason because they acquired even better players in the offseason. I think that they got Candace Parker or something like that recently. So it's like their team is stacked. And in some ways, she's got something really good, but she only makes $1 million a year to coach the Aces. If she comes and coaches the Raptors, she's going to get like way more money. So there's a good reason right there, other than the fact that, listen, the prestige and the honor of being a glass ceiling breaker is something that goes into history books. Like there's a lot of incentives for her to come and coach the Toronto Raptors. If people think that there isn't any incentive for Becky Hammon to come and coach the Toronto Raptors, you're fucking crazy. Because she could make history. She could become somebody that everybody like looks up to as little girls. Are like, Becky Hammon became the coach of the NBA. I can do it too. It's that kind of stuff. So there are reasons. I mean, she may really love new challenges. And, you know, she may want one of those jobs. It may be that she's waiting for Popovich to retire and she'll become the first female head coach for the Spurs. But maybe Masai wants to jump in line and say, you want your chance, Becky? We'll give you it in here in Toronto. Woo! It's crazy. It's interesting. And it is. The thing was, I wasn't going to talk about her seriously because I didn't think it was a serious thing. But when Woj bombed last night that she is confirmed to be coming in for an interview here, we had to talk about it. I didn't think it was serious because I didn't think she was actually going to come and interview. Well, she did. The Aces gave her permission. And some people are saying, why the fuck would the Aces allow her to go interview for this? Well, because they don't want to hold her back from breaking glass ceilings, you know, and it's her life. And she'd be probably pissed at them if they said, no, you can't go interview the Raptors for that job. You have to stay here. You're with the Aces. She'd be like, fuck you. I'm living my life. I want to go see if I can coach men too, you know. Excuse me. So there's a lot of reasons why she could actually become our coach. Now, is it going to be happening? Is it likely? Probably, maybe not. I don't know. But people should take this seriously. This is not virtue signaling. This is not Masai being cute. This is like some people said, oh, she keeps being the token interview for head coaching jobs. That's not a token interview. She's a legitimate threat to take those jobs. This isn't like, oh, we're doing something nice, charity. We're going to just interview you just to show that we would consider a woman to coach our team. No, this is serious. She's just like every other candidate. She could take that job if she does a good job in the interview and be the next head coach. This is not something to poo-poo at all. No, it's not. Leslie's also saying Masai talked about being the first African to be a president in the NBA in Giants of Africa. He mentions how that was a failure. Maybe not having a female is a failure. Let's do things right. Oh, listen. Okay. All right. I want to make sure I talk this right. He mentions how that was it's a failure that there aren't enough men and African American presidents in the NBA, like Masai. He was he broke a glass ceiling himself, being where he's at in the position of power in the Raptors organization. That is not common. Like, seriously, usually the person that is in his position in the other franchises is white person. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Masai in some ways is a glass ceiling breaker, and he may very much want to help break some more glass ceilings. And that may be the whole thing here. And he may be like, this is a failure that women are not coaching more in the NBA or have not been able to yet, and that we need to get this going. This is very true. If somebody's going to be daring and like this, this could be just like Nick Nurse. Think about this. She could come in and be a badass and be a rookie head coach and fuck up the whole league with our team. Seriously, we could mess them up with the good scheming of Becky Hammon and her fiery way of coaching and getting guys going. Look out. We could actually have like a return of kind of like a Nick Nurse rookie year as a head coach, where she comes in, she's gangbusters, we kick so much ass, and we are actually challenging for the championship because she's that kind of competitor. She's got that Jimmy Butler, Michael Jordan, Anthony Edwards spirit in her, where she's like, she really wants to fucking win. And that's one thing about her that y'all need to respect, is that she's a winner. Everything she's done in her life, she has tried her damnedest to win, whether it's starting in high school when she was a slight, smaller build and they didn't want her in college. So they took her in Colorado State and they were like, yeah, she's kind of a walk-on. She didn't even have any prestige when she came in, and she fucking killed it. She broke all these records and it was like a scoring like phenomena, and boom, then she went to the WNBA and she had a crazy long career full of all-stars. She led the league in assists one year. She's a very accomplished player herself. And then you get into all the other stuff where she played internationally for Team USA. She's been the assistant coach under Popovich in a very good system and learned a lot from Greg. Now she went to WNBA, conquered that already in 1 year. Does she want to conquer some more mountaintops? Maybe she does. And maybe she wants to come to the North, to the 416, and lead a ragamatag crew of Raptors back out there to get their heads straight back and be underdogs and get that dog back in their fight. Listen, I could sell this. I'm still thinking Jerry's our best candidate. Jerry Stackhouse is my favorite still. But Becky Hammon's in my top 3 now because I know that this is realistic and it could possibly happen. But will it happen? I don't know. That's the one thing I'll say. But I would endorse her. If she wanted to coach our team, I'd give her that chance. And you want to be gambling. Sometimes you want to make some risk to get a big, huge reward. And in some ways, she's the most accomplished candidate for our job at this point. She really is. In some ways, she's the most accomplished out of everybody. Stackhouse even. Nako's saying, I think Stack is closer to what we need, but Becky would be cool. If the Hawks didn't fumble it last night at the end of they'd probably win. It was what it was going to be. It was going to happen the way it was going to happen. The Celtics were supposed to go the next round for sure. The Hawks were just, making it a little longer, prolonging it. But the Celtics were just toying with them. Ice Trey getting that 3 at the end of the last game. That game should have been over then. And now we got the setup for Philly and Boston in the next round. These second round matchups are NBA dreams as far as the Knicks and the Heat and the Sixers and the Celtics. This is going to be fun stuff. That Sixers Celtics series is going to be very colorful and interesting. And in some ways, I can't wait for it. Stackhouse is safer in some ways. It's more like within the lines. And sure, I don't mind this at all. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with our coaching hunt and what's happening. And of course, we're hearing more and more noise out of Bucks camp that they are not happy with Budenholzer. There's a lot of Bucks analysts and content creators that are breaking down all those mistakes in the last game against Miami and how they lost. And they're just saying that Budenholzer's been making these same mistakes all along. Does this all sound familiar? In some ways, they're talking about him just like how we were just talking about Nick Nurse. So it could very well be that Budenholzer does get fired. There's a lot of Bucks Nation that's calling for this. It's not that I want him or anything like that for our team. It's just that this is the kind of landscape that's going on right now. While Masai is trying to find a new coach, it could change very quickly depending on how the playoffs go with different teams going out. They may have coaches going like being free all of a sudden, and there'd be more people to interview, or possibly, be other teams for Nick Nurse to go to. A lot of the Bucks Nation really wants Nick Nurse to coach the Bucks next season. That could be interesting. I'm not scared of that. I'm not, honestly not. Now, the other thing out of Bucks Nation is that Brian Windhurst is Windhursting that he doesn't think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to extend his contract this summer, and that the writing's on the wall that he may actually leave Milwaukee at this point. Now, I don't know if Brian is right on this, because sometimes his Windhursting isn't always that accurate. But this is interesting that he's saying this, that he thinks that Giannis may be on the move again. And well, we know who he wants to come here and be here is Masai. So, anytime we hear Giannis is not happy in Milwaukee, Toronto fans start perking their ears up. And you're kind of, what? Well, what about Giannis? What about what about him? Oh, yeah, he's friends with Masai. We talked about him coming here before. That's very interesting to me. That's what we're talking about when Masai says, when things shake up in the offseason, you never know what can happen. And maybe people become available and you don't even realize it. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in motion right now, whether it's our coach, whether it's the ideas of overhaul on a roster slightly by getting a big name like Giannis Antetokounmpo. There are rumors and things going on. Denal's here. Good to see Denal. It's been a bit, my good friend Denal. Always happy to see you. Good to see you. Let's get the best coach, not just because she'll be the first woman. Becky is great, but I wouldn't mind Jordy either, or giving Jama a shot. Yeah, I mean, this is something we really got to balance. Like, that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't look at her as being female, though. They really got to look at her as just like she's just another candidate. It doesn't matter what her sex is. That if she's the best candidate, hire her, and it doesn't matter if she's female or not. That's how we got to look at this. It's the way everything should be looked at this way anyway. It's not about color. It's not about gender. It's not about this. It's about how good are you at the job, and will you be the best fit, and will you do the job the best? And in some ways, we could argue she may be the best one for the job, Denal. So it would definitely not be because she's a woman. Trust me. It would be because she's the best damn candidate for the job. And I have no problem with that. All right, you brought up Jordy. Let's talk about Jordy. Jordy is a disciple of Mike Brown. Jordy Fernandez is Spanish. He's 40 years old. He is not head coached in the NBA, but he has 7 years assistant coaching, mostly shadowing Mike Brown in Sacramento. He's the number one assistant at this point. He's also an assistant coach for Mike Brown on Team Nigeria, on their Olympic team. He does not have any NBA experience. He has not won anything in his career in any kind of way. And his development story is Kyrie Irving. He has been around Kyrie when he was young and really helped him when Mike Brown was coaching the Cavs way back then with the young Kyrie Irving. Jordy Fernandez was part of his development. So there's a little synopsis on Jordy Fernandez, the number one for the Sacramento Kings, who's getting interviewed by us, confirmed by Woj. He has been an acting head coach under Mike Brown at different times. He's actually technically the associate head coach right now, which is a new title they give to the top assistant and teams these days. They're the associate head coach. They're not really the head coach, but they're trying to give him some more prestige. And a lot of these names that Woj dropped last night are names of guys that are really like buzz coach names that are really people view as possible really good head coaches. They're rising stars as assistant coaches and people that could be very good. Now, part of the problem with these guys is a lot of these guys are young. A lot of them are not very experienced, and a lot of them are not proven winners. And a lot of them are not actually NBA players. So they kind of miss some of the marks that I've been talking about in the past week as far as what I value for a next Raptors head coach. I'll go through each one of them. Now, you just heard Jordy. Jordy's interesting because he really has had a lot of varied coaching experience, but it's all been under Mike Brown. Is whether he's on Team Nigeria, whether it was back in the day with the Cavs, whether it was, more recently with the Sacramento Kings. So Jordy is really, really coached just under him. So that's Jordy Fernandez. Another name that was mentioned yesterday is Mitch Johnson. He is a number one assistant underneath Popovich at this point in San Antonio. He is only 36. He is the youngest candidate that has been named as far as being interviewed for the job. I don't think this guy's very likely. His father played in the NBA, but he did not himself. His father was John Johnson, who is not a very well-known player, who played mostly for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He has only got 4 years assistant coach experience under Popovich. So by far, he is the least experienced candidate on the whole entire spreadsheet. He has not won anything either. And so I really think that he's one of these guys that are already naming that he seems like he's a personality that could be a head coach down the road. But I think it's too early for him. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, he may be a good coach down the road, but it's too early. He just needs more time with Popovich and stuff like that. So I don't think he's a realistic candidate for our job, for sure. It may be in some ways they're trying to give Popovich a bone and let this youngster come in and practice interviewing for head coaching jobs. And that's more what it is. That's part of the process. That these guys, they get the chance to interview, and the more they do interviews, the more likely down the road they'll probably land one of the jobs, but they don't always get chance for real. It's just they get the practice. So in some ways, we're giving some of these young assistant coaches the practice of interviewing for head coaching jobs. And they may not be very seriously considered, though. The other thing that's funny about the head assistant coaches is if you go to all their Wikipedias, which I use for the research for this channel, there's always a blurb at the bottom of the page of our Wikipedia page that's basically selling them on why they're such a great assistant coach and why they could be a good head coach. And there's always like a blurb in here, like it'll say something like Charles Lee is a up and coming young coach. And then there'll be a quote from a former player or a player currently. And they'll say, Charles Lee is going to be a head coach in this league someday. I can tell. And it's always like, I feel like somebody wrote that into the Wikipedia page as like a selling point because they know people are going to come and look at it. And they're going to be like, whoa, this is why we should consider him as a head coach. Because it says on his Wikipedia page, he's going to be a great head coach one day. It's on like all 5 of these candidates, other than Becky Hammon. She doesn't have it on hers. But these other young guys that are coming up, they all have that on their Wikipedia. It's pretty funny. Another new name that they mentioned yesterday was Darko Rajakovic. Darko Rajakovic is an assistant coach for the Memphis Grizzlies currently. He's 44 years old. He does not have any head coaching experience here, but he does over in Europe. He's like the first G League foreign coach ever from overseas. He has 9 years assistant coaching in the NBA. He does not have any playing experience, not even in Europe. He's straight up a coach. He never really was a player. And he has not won anything ever. One of his development stories is Victor Oladipo from his time when he was assistant coaching around the Thunder. He was around Victor when he was on the Thunder for that little bit of time. And he gives him some credit for helping him develop his game before he got to the Pacers. So, yeah, very interesting candidate. I don't know how likely he is. But once again, he's one of these young coaches around the NBA that they're saying is in line to probably be a good head coach at some point. The thing about Darko is he's very meticulous. He's very, very meticulous. He pays really close to detail. He's very, very organized. And he's also very good with personalities. He's a very good people person. So he's got a combination of 2 things. He's a very good people person, and he's very super organized. So that's basically what Darko Rajakovic is all about. You saw that name. Another name on that list is Kevin Young. Kevin Young is an assistant coach under Monty Williams in Phoenix currently. He is 41 years old. He's born in Utah. He is a Mormon. He has never been a head coach. He has 6 years assistant coaching under Brett Brown and Monty Williams. He did not play in the NBA, but he did play Division II level basketball in college. He has not won anything. And his development story is Christian Wood. And I think he dealt with Christian Wood on the G League level. It wasn't even in the NBA. So he had him very young, and he was developing him when he was in the G League before he got to the NBA, Christian Wood. So Kevin Young is similar to Mitch Johnson. They're like up and coming, but it may be too soon. They may be still needing to do interviews for a couple of head coaching positions, have more years under experience, and then they may get a coaching job down the road. I'm not interested in these assistant coaches that are in the new batch that Woj dropped last night. Out of all those names last night, the only one that intrigues me is Becky Hammon. I do not endorse Mitch Johnson, Darko Rajakovic, or Kevin Young, and even Jordi Fernandez, who is probably the next attractive name on the list after Becky Hammon. I'm not really interested in any of them. First of all, none of them are proven winners. None of them will have respect. None of them are NBA players. And they miss a lot of the marks of what I'm looking for in the next Toronto Raptors head coach. So I don't really look at any of them seriously. Maybe a little bit of Jordy, just because Denial's brought him up and he likes him. But otherwise, Becky's the only one in the report last night that I actually would consider hiring if I was Masai. The rest of them are too young and too green, and they don't have it. Their resumes aren't very good. Let's just put it that way. Our resumes for our assistant coaches look better. Like Adrian Griffith's resume looks way better than any of these young guys. Earl Watson looks way better. Stackhouse for sure looks way, way better. Tristan's saying, yeah, as long as she's the best suitor, in my opinion. That's what I'm saying. This is all we want in this world. It's like, don't judge me because I'm this color. Don't judge me because I'm this gender. We just want fair chance. And that's all Becky would want in this. It's not like we want to favor her or not favor her because she's a woman. We just let her come in and do it just like a man would in the interview. And if she knocks it out of the park, give her the damn job. That's what I'm saying. We should not be looking at this just like we say be colorblind with race. Let's be gender blind on this one with Becky Hammon. If she's the right candidate for the job, then she will earn it and she'll get it. And it won't be a token thing. It won't be kind of like this is just kind of like a fun, no, it'll be for real. She deserves it and she's good at it. So yeah, there's my spreadsheet, y'all. Check it out if you want to look at stuff. Leslie saying, glad you watched all the Smoke interview, Lex. I'm still on the Stackhouse train, but I won't discount Becky. Yeah, I think Leslie and you and I are pretty similar where we're at. I mean, in some ways, Stackhouse is safer for sure. But in some ways, also, the allure of Becky Hammon is similar to Ime Udoka. There's some real possibilities and some craziness as far as what's possible with winning and just that spirit she has. Smooth saying, I'm all about the best fit, not into winning a press conference. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about that too. And as Raptors freaks, as positive fans and want the best for the team going forward, obviously we want to get the best candidate and the best person for this job, regardless of whatever. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe she can be that person with all this kind of stuff, but who knows? We're going to see. We got to trust Masai. And I'm delighted that she is going to come in and interview. Now, there may be decisions from her end that it has to be a certain way for me to want to come here and break up my good thing in Las Vegas. And that makes sense. So it has to all fit. In some ways, it may not fit from her end. It may not fit from our end. So we'll have to see if it lines up and if it does make sense and they do decide to hire her. We never know. We got to see. G's here. Good. It's the moderator, G. Oh, wait, we gave you the moderator yesterday. I just want the best candidate for the job. And if that's her, that's great. What do you think the team would respect her? Oh, yeah. I mean, in some ways, listen, what did you get taught as a little boy? Respect your mama. In some ways, they may respect her more than a new assistant coach that's male. I mean, a new coach that's male. Seriously. In some ways, they may respect her way more than one of these guys I just named that never played in the league. If one of these guys, the assistant coach from another team who never played in the league, you think Scotty's going to listen to them as much as they'll listen to Becky Hammon? In some ways, she's a name, she's known, and she's a proven winner, and they'd be fools not to listen to her. In some ways, they were they don't want to disrespect her because in some ways they would, they may be rooting for her to be successful also on the down low because of her breaking glass ceilings. So there could be all kinds of weird effects on it that actually really help us and make us win more because of the situation with her being female. So I wouldn't poo-poo this, and I wouldn't take Raptors Nation. Don't look at this as some sort of crazy fluke kind of thing. This is serious. This is real. And if she does take the job, it could be a really huge, crazy, awesome, amazing thing like Nick Nurse's first year as a rookie head coach. I'm serious. What if we won the championship next year? What if she did this, y'all? What if she goes to the WNBA in a rookie year, wins the WNBA championship, and then goes in the NBA and wins the NBA championship in 2 years in a row? She would be a legend forever. Seriously. Winning championships in her rookie years in both leagues, that would be insane. And another person saying another reason why you might want to get Becky Hammon is the growth of the WNBA into the Toronto market. That if you have her being coach here of our team here, holy crap, we definitely get a WNBA team if Becky Hammon gets hired as the Toronto Raptors' next head coach. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think the team would respect her. I really do. I really do. I think that in some ways, like, look, she's already worked with Popovich on the Spurs level with male players, and they've all respected her. They very much treated her just like every other coach on the Spurs, and she would get that respect. Trust me. I bet you she's very good at it. Because listen, she probably has a way about her that's very like tough and like a chief kind of way about her, and that these guys would fall in line behind her. In fact, they may get even more up for her because in some ways it is a novelty, but in some ways it's like we want to do even extra because we want her to succeed. Really, really, really do. So we don't know how this could go if we did hire her. It could actually go really, really well, honestly. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Very interesting to see the outcome of this search. So I salute Masai for thinking outside the box and encouraging diversity and breaking grounds. Wow. Yeah, Fiercely's all about this. I know Fiercely, as a mother, she wants to encourage her child to play more basketball. That's what I'm saying. This is the kind of heroes and these kind of people that break glass ceilings and trailblazers like Becky Hammon. She wants to be a trailblazer. She wants to do like Billie Jean King kind of stuff. Well, here's an opportunity, Becky, if you want it, and Messiah and Bobby want to give you the job. This could be something huge and crazy and historic. Let's keep going. Fun guy saying, man, all the required adjustments, complications, and PR stuff of having her coach a team of men scares me, but she's so qualified, man, and could really turn us around. Gender always is a tough one. Fun guy, I'm wondering about your concerns and really how they are, if they're realistic or not. What are the required adjustments and complications and PR stuff? I don't think there are any. In fact, I think it just brings good PR. I think it just brings good karma. I think it just brings good things to our team in some ways if we do this. Like, seriously, I'm not saying we do this for sure, but if Masai deems this, I'm going to back it up and I'm going to like fight everybody who thinks it's a stupid move. If they hire her, I will back them up. And I will be like talking to the highest hills and mountains about why this is a good move. And there'll be a lot of detractors. I'm sure there will be a lot of detractors. There may be a lot of misogynists and weirdos. They're like, women don't belong in men's sports. What are they doing here? Get out of here. It's our clubhouse, Sally. Ah! There could be some stupid shit like that. The old boys club. What, Becky Hammon's coaching the Raptors? What the hell is this? They already tried to go all 6'9". Now they got a woman as their coach. What the hell, communists? There could be some stupid shit like that. Maybe. I don't know. Monique saying, good morning, everyone. Was anyone else expecting so much coaches to be on the list? I know, Monique. They dropped those more names last night. Woj, thank you. Every information bomb is very appreciated, Mr. Woj. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was really crazy to see these new names. And of course, some of the new names, I'm like, who the fuck is Zarko Rajakovic or whatever? And I'm like, what the fuck? And I had to go learn about them last night real quick so I could be informed for you guys this morning. Blackhawk saying stack it up. So yeah, I'm still on that Stackhouse train. If we can get Jerry Stackhouse up here, I'm all about it. Now, some of the comments after the stream yesterday, somebody came in and they were talking about Jerry Stackhouse and all the Vanderbilt players are leaving. And so he's speculating that it's because that Jerry Stackhouse has turned off the players. He's too hard on them and they've been leaving. Well, if they're leaving, well, maybe Jerry's leaving too. And if he's a disciplinarian and he's a hard ass, we need that here in Toronto, honestly. Like in some ways, these guys got too cushy last season. We need a tough ass coach. And if Jerry Stackhouse is going to be that guy, I would welcome him with a red carpet. If he can come in here and yell at our guys and get better results out of them, I'm all about that. Seriously, we'll have to see. Let's see. Wayne's here. Good to see Wayne's trainer. I'm very open to the idea about Becky. Downside is if we don't like the choice, we might be called anti-female. However, from my professional work experience, my best leaders have been female. Listen, this is the thing. This is the optics of sports. If she doesn't perform and things don't go right, well, you treat her exactly if she was a male or female. And then there's no argument on this. Like if she does bomb, if she fails, well, if we fire her, nobody's going to be like, well, she did shitty. And that's why they fired her. So I think in some ways your fears about this are kind of silly because if you don't do a good job, it's just like what we're saying. You do a good job in the interview, you get the job. Well, if you don't do a good job in the job, you get fired. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. That's just how the NBA is. So I think we can get around this. I don't think we would worry about this. In fact, we would probably get not painted anti-female if we hired the first ever female in the NBA as a head coach. So I think that fear is not something to worry about. Cool Cat saying, "Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Let's go on with our Raptors. What's going on with our Raptors team? Lots going on. Love that we are doing due diligence in our coaching search. Masai will pick the best suited for our culture. Yeah, this is a fit. Fit is such a huge word for this summer. The fit wasn't right last year. And we got to figure out where the fit is right. Let's get into the tailors and taper this and hem this and get the fit on the inseam right and all that stuff. We got to get the fit right for our suit and what we're going to wear for our coat next year. Who's going to be our coach and what are our fit with our roster and our players and how they could fit better and gel together, have better results on the court. So fit is a very important word this summer along with culture. And both of those have to go hand in hand. The culture has to fit with the fit, and the fit has to fit with the culture. And we got to see that happen. Nako saying, I'm pretty sure I remember DeMar talking pretty positively about her. I'm not as worried about her not getting respect. Yeah, she's been around San Antonio for so long. She does have respect of NBA players around here. And like I said, she's been on that sideline when Popovich has not been available, and she's coached the team herself. And she's done very well. She's a winner. She's just a winner. She's that kind of person. And we want winning up here. And she's in that. She fits that culture for sure. Mike is saying, new report. The Raptors are too woke. Salty, Ime? Oh, man. We're fighting. We're too woke and the other teams are not woke enough. Fuck all them. I'll go with the woke side every time. I'd much rather be awake and moving forward and progressing in society than be fucking stuck in the fucking 1950s with these fucking dumbass heads who fucking want to go back and fucking take rights away. Yeah, if I'm woke, I'm awake as a woke. Give me a fucking pot of black coffee and fucking wake my ass up and be woke as fuck because that's who I am and I'm proud of it. It's not a slur to me. But that's fine, Mike. They can call us so woke. The Raptors are so woke. They're interviewing a woman. God forbid a woman coaches an NBA team. Oh, my gosh. The Raptors are so woke with their Black Lives Matter bus. Oh, my gosh. So dumb. Yeah, motherfucker, we're woke. Woke means we love and we appreciate people and we're progressive people with open minds that are forward thinking and not backwards thinking, fucking trying to control everybody's fucking life. Motherfuckers that are anti-woke. Fuck you. Trevor's saying, I'm all for her. She is a good coach. She'll be the perfect fit for the Raptors. In some ways, she might be. I mean, seriously, there's a feeling about her I have. Like, seriously, she came in like 1 year and fucked up the WNBA with the Las Vegas Aces. Took them all the way and won the championship. That says something. And if she wants to write a legend, all right, I broke that ceiling. I'm going to go through another ceiling, come right in the NBA and do it here. I would love that. If we got a big move, like think about it. What if we hire her and then we do a huge move? Like all of a sudden we have Giannis on our team next season. Think about that. We could be a force in the fucking league and be a real championship contender, and the NBA will eat it up. In some ways, she may be a benefit because of the story. We know the NBA loves drama and they love stories. They fucking love this Heat Knicks series that's about to start because there's so much history and drama with Alonzo Mourning and fucking the fights with Larry Johnson when they were Charlotte Hornets together, and then they got on opposite teams and they were playing against each other and everybody's fighting. They love the drama. They love to build narratives and stories. And Becky Hammon would be a huge story. And in some ways, they'd want to see her succeed because it's good for the game in a lot of different ways. And in fact, she could be the bridge that gets people more interested in the WNBA on the mainstream also because of it all. So there's a lot to like. And if we're in the epicenter of it, we could reap a lot of the benefits of it being the Toronto Raptors because we had it happen here. And that's what I'm saying. There's some things that could be very positive about it. It's amazing. Wayne saying, Lex, it's bigger here for Becky because Raptors are a good team, which is a couple of tweaks away from being championship bound. Imagine being the only person with titles from both the NBA and the WNBA. Wow. That's what I'm saying. And imagine doing it 2 years in a row if we can pull this off. Like, seriously, Masai's crazy. He'll do this shit. He'll trade DeMar and get Kawhi and make that gamble. What the fuck? Why do we won't do that kind of shit this summer? We could be moving a big Raptor for a very big name, and we could be making a seismic shift. That's the kind of thing like, whoa, that's a needle pusher. Like, that's what they'll say. Does that push the needle over to the side where they're more of a contender? Well, yeah, we could do that shit this summer. And it could start with hiring Becky Hammon and then getting a big name somehow in a trade this summer because of disgruntledness, as Masai said. And then boom, We look like something crazy coming in this year. It's kind of like how we looked when we came into the season 2018, 2019. So who knows? Who knows? It's crazy. I love that all y'all are being very supportive of her getting interviewed. I was worried that some people may be like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we interviewing her? But everybody here is very progressive and awake and like not being like kind of like cavemanish. Why the fuck are we interviewing her? No, you guys are all actually being very positive about it. I expected some people, it's very fair to say we want the best person for the job. We don't want to just hire her because she's a woman. We want the best person. And this is the way it's looking like this. It's just like I said, we're not looking at race. We're not looking at gender. We want the best candidate to coach the Raptors. Monique saying, I know I said a lot about the coaches lately. My top three, Watson, Stackhouse, and Becky. That's my top three too. Monique, I'm right there with you. I know you want Earl still first, number one. And I would love Earl if Earl could work out. But I'm really starting to get a feeling that because of all the toxic this past season with our coaching staff, that in some ways, Masai and Bobby are wary of hiring anybody from this year. That maybe it's because Earl was part of the problem with Nick at the same time. And it may be that Bobby and Masai see him as not being like healthy to bring forward because of maybe some of the events that happened this year. I'm feeling that for some reason because I don't think Earl is actually a strong candidate because they're not bringing him up. There's not much buzz about him. We're hearing Adrian, a former assistant Adrian is getting interviewed, but we're not hearing that Earl's getting interviewed. And maybe that's why he took his Toronto Raptors stuff off there because Masai's already said we're not considering you, Earl. I'm sorry. And now he's already ready to move on. Who knows? I'm speculating here, so I don't know. Don't take anything that I just said for truth. I'm just speculating from what it looks like from the outside. We're hearing a lot of noise about Adrian Griffin, but we ain't hearing shit about Earl Watson. And that's telling in some ways. Cool Cat saying, I watched a lot of Las Vegas Aces games from Coach Hammon. Man, she had great plays with movement, and her team were aggressive and the energy on the court. I was saying she could coach us after Nick Nurse. Cool Cat was already seeing this. I love that Cool Cat has knowledge of her team and watching her coach, and she feels very confident about how she runs things and how her offense looked. I love this, Cool Cat. I love hearing this information. And you even said this before. You saw her and you're like, wow, she could be coaching our team after Nick Nurse. Well, who knows? You may be right, Cool Cat. You may be foreseeing the future ahead of time from before. Cool Cat saying our players don't care if it's a woman coaching or a man. They just want to win. That's all that matters. Our players are progressive humans. That's true. Look, it could be other teams that could be an issue, but our team is very much stacked with character. We have open-minded young men that aren't closed-minded. Scotty is so progressive in some ways. I mean, watching his Twitch last year, his ideas about people and how they should be treated and just how equality and works and stuff like that is very much on the cutting edge of progressive stuff. And he would not have a problem with having a female coach. I know Scotty personally probably would not. For sure. You got to think about people like Precious, OG, Fred, all these people probably be like, this is kind of cool and this is different. And we like this in some ways. It could be very well because she's a female. She may garner more respect from them and get more out of them because they feel like they need to. There's maybe something instinctual about like, your mom tells you to do something. You better fucking go do it or you can get in trouble. So it could be that kind of stuff, like just like a little girl screaming in an arena when it's quiet during free throws. You get like that primal feeling of like, and you get scared. Like Mike brought it up. It kind of throws you off because we're as humans, we're intrinsically, you hear noises like a little girl screaming and it unsettles you just because of the history of like all time. When you hear a little girl screaming, that's a bad sound. So like this could be like a thing like that, like where you naturally want to listen to your mom or you're like you're somebody who's in charge of you. You're more likely to listen to your mom than your dad. Let's just put it that way in your household. Your dad may be kind of like it is. Like, yeah, go do whatever the fuck you want, son. Go ride your bike off the cliff. Okay, Dad. Or like your mom says, no, you're not going to ride your bike off your cliff. No, you're not. Get back in here, Johnny. And you're listening to your mom. So maybe that may be part of the factor. It's like they're more likely listen to mom than dad. And that may be get more out of them. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm just thinking psychologically about, human nature. In some ways, this may be true. It could be very well true that they may listen to her more because of her being a woman. So we'll have to see. I think that is very true. Cool Cat saying that the Raptors are one of the most progressive teams in the NBA. You could try this one knucklehead young team. Like, I don't think Becky Hammon could get hired in Houston. You think that Becky Hammon could go into the womanizing den with like Ime Udoka? No, I don't think that she could. I don't think she would have fun coaching a bunch of young, immature guys in Houston, like maybe Ime Udoka would. So, it may be fit is important too with this. That, the Spurs, maybe she could probably get away with coaching the Spurs, obviously, because of her history there. But the Raptors are more like the Spurs in some ways. So the fit probably does fit for the progressive culture. And that's a big part of it. You don't want to put her on a team maybe in the South where people will be like a little bit of assholes. Like, who knows how they treat her? I don't know. Atlanta's pretty progressive, but maybe in Charlotte, maybe in Utah, it wouldn't work too well there. Or, that's what you got to think about. Cowboys here. Good to see Canadian Cowboy from ta-da. They can help you out around your house. If you have something big, heavy you want to move, you need some painting, you need some cleaning, you need your gutters clean. Tada can help you. They're in the phone book in the 416. Look up Tada, and Bradley and his brother and other friends will come and help you at your house. They are very helpful. He's saying, good morning, Lex and the Raptors Freak. Thank you, Cowboy. Good to see you. Tank for Scoot. All right, let's see. When are we trading Fred to Orlando? Well, I don't know why we would do that. We've got El Capitan. We've got our Lowry hard drive download into Fred, and we don't want to lose that zip drive. We want to keep that information that was passed down as an apprentice from Mr. Lowry to Mr. VanVleet. And not to mention, we need to keep our champions around on this team. We don't have a lot of those guys on that picture right there and those heads from the championship team on our team anymore. In fact, it's Pascal and Fred, and that's it. And I overly value them because we want linkages between our first championship and our eventual second championship we're going to get very soon. So, yeah, no, I don't see this. Unless Fred really wants to go to Orlando, which I don't think he does. I don't see him going to Orlando. Because Masai's already hinted he's his guy. They talk to each other all the time. I mean, Fred's calling Masai MU, and he says, I talk to him all the time. It's more like Fred is part of the front office than you think. So Tank for Scoot, which is a stupid ass name in the first place, hold your breath and you're going to turn blue and you might fall over because you ain't getting enough oxygen. Because Fred ain't going nowhere. All the signs are there. I mean, if Masai moves him, it'll be because of fit and because he's getting something huge in the other return, and it's because the other team really wanted Fred. But otherwise, you don't expect Fred to leave. He's got a newborn baby that was just born earlier this year. He's got 2 other kids that are under 5. And he doesn't want to move his fucking family. Like, that's annoying. And he has no other place he's ever played for before. He has allegiance to this team that took a chance on him, and he doesn't really want to leave. All the signs have pointed to this. Y'all may want him to leave, but he doesn't want to leave, and Masai doesn't want him to leave. So we don't care what y'all want. It's about what Masai and Fred and I want, and we want him to stay. So it doesn't matter if you want him to go to Orlando. It's not likely. Let's just put it that way. So keep holding your breath, and you're going to fall over from asphyxiation because you can't get any oxygen because you can hold your breath all you want. Fred ain't going nowhere. If he does, and then I'll say, okay, this is why it happened. But for right now, the signs are that Fred's not moving as much as Fred haters hate that. So keep hating it, Tank for Scoot, with your dumbass handle. Seymour saying, Becky, now I did not see this coming. Sheriff Seymour Pape did not see the Becky Hammon interview coming in. I thought it was possible. We heard rumors. We heard her name a little bit, but I was like, is this realistic? I mean, is this really realistic? And that's why I didn't really focus on it. But now it is realistic. Woj made it realistic last night with his Woj bomb. So, yeah, this is cool, Seymour. We'll see how this happens. So see what happens. Monique saying way more than 15 plus women in organization. This would be huge on all fronts, as I said in the chat. You're talking about in the Raptors organization overall. Yeah, there's a lot of women that are in power in the Raptors organization already. This is an organization that celebrates women and promotes them and puts them in positions of responsibility and power. So it would just totally make sense if we hired Becky Hammon, because it's the kind of shit we're already doing. Teresa Resch is really one of the biggest power players in the Raptors organization after Masai and Bobby. And she is a huge, huge driving force for our success in recent years. And we can't poo-poo that. And that's what I'm saying. There's a huge contribution from women in the Toronto Raptors organization overall already. And Becky would just be on a new front. And I really kind of like it. I really do. Fiercely saying the fact that Nick Nurse was quickly dismissed after the season and they're still looking for the right fit is telling. They wanted him and his negativity out and start fresh. Yes. Yes. In some ways, they probably maybe needed to fire him in the middle of the season, and they didn't. I mean, the signs were there already that he was a rogue coach, and we kind of let him ride through the season, probably out of respect. But in some ways, it may have been damaging, and especially after the Philly press conference, that should have been the day they should have fired him the next day. But they didn't want to do it with the optics and stuff. And Masai handled it right. But in some ways, there was damage done to our team after that press conference because he was still around. I mean, look at the way we played Chicago in the play-in. That was damaging. That was damaging to our psyche and damaging to the way our franchise looks to the rest of the league in certain ways. Just because he was still around, he was half-assed, and he was already out the door in his mind. Well, we played like shit partly because of that. So there was some damage still because we need to get rid of him quick. And I'm really glad Masai didn't wait. You know, in some ways I was worried. In some ways he may not fire him, and if he didn't, I would have been okay with it. But I'm glad he did because it was the right move. Callie's here. Good to see Callie Mayer, one of the original Raptor freaks. Somebody who's been with this channel for 2 years now. We appreciate Callie. I love the idea of Becky because she may be what the team needs to light a fire in them. I believe that Masai will pick the coach that he believes will fit into our vision. That's exactly right. Trust in Masai, Callie. We know Masai has done good things in the past and will continue to do good things for the Raptors into the future. And Becky Hammon may be the next great thing. You know, listen, Nick Nurse was a crazy find and he blew up. In some ways, she's a good to go kind of person. And it may be easy success found with her because she's that kind of person. And Masai wants to be known for this. Like, look, it really the first coach he's ever hired in the whole time he's been in the Raptors is Nick Nurse. This is going to be the second one. And in some ways, he may make king makers or queen makers in this case. And Nick Nurse, look at the prestige that he was built into. Like a lot of ways, we developed coaches here too, just like we develop players, and they become more attractive to other teams and they go other places. And well, that's what I'm saying. But Becky Hammon wants to get some shine and be developed into being an NBA head coach. Coming to Toronto is a smart move because you will have all the tools to succeed here. In fact, our team should have succeeded last season. You could come in and look like a genius. And the replacement of Nick Nurse, if you get completely different results from this core here in Toronto, Becky Hammon, you will look like a genius. You will look like, all right, she's a better coach than Nick Nurse because look what she's doing with them and getting the better results from the Raptors. That's a really quick way to get prestige and be like looked at as one of the top people in your field is by showing that you can improve from a guy who's already heralded as one of the top people in the field and you do even better. Well, there you go. That's prestige and development and making a name for yourself, just like Nick Nurse did when he became the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. He made himself into a name because he won a championship in his first year and he had huge success. Well, Becky could do the same damn thing here. Trust me. She's already a name, but she could even add more. Fiercely saying, I don't believe Earl Watson's name was mentioned. I did see Adrian Griffin, though. That's what I'm saying, Fiercely. They would put him in there if he was seriously getting considered. I don't think he is. And he may be pissed off about this. That's maybe why he's wiped all Toronto Raptors linkages to his Instagram off his bio. That he doesn't have anything on there saying he works for the Toronto Raptors anymore. He may be gone with Nick already. Space Cadet saying at Tank, we aren't. MA must be in shambles. Probably wanted Becky on his coaching staff because, you know, Space Cadet, I'm not giving you a dunk on that because I have too much respect for Coach Hammond. Yeah, that's messed up. That's a messed up thing to say and allude to, honestly. You know, Houston, I don't know what Houston's going to be like down there with those youngsters and crazy wild ass Ime Udoka. And it may be very entertaining, actually, in some ways. I want to see them have some folly and some failure. I mean, seriously, in some ways, we want to see how good a coach he is, whether it was Brad Stevens' coaching system and the roster he built or is Ime Udoka's coaching style. We'll find out real quick in Houston. Trust me, we will. I'm a fun guy saying, man, Becky would bring a Popovich type system here, which would maintain our defensive identity and have an innovative offense. Love it. I'm intrigued. I'd say give her a 2 to 3 year deal, which is a great window. I love everything you're saying here, fun guy. And I appreciate, man, that you can see the enthusiasm and excitement of doing something daring like this. Seriously. I love that you're saying the nuts and bolts. Like, obviously, the school of Popovich is a great school to come from. There's so many good coaches in this league that were directly tutored and assistant coaches underneath Popovich that it just makes sense. in some ways. Oh, in some ways, the more I talk about Becky Hammon, the more I'm like, let's get her. Let's just get her. Space Cadet saying Yak has some experience playing under Hammon. Yes. Jakob's a very intelligent, high IQ player, and he really says, like, look, this is what Pau Gasol said. Look, she's not just a good coach in the WNBA. She's not just a good assistant coach. She's a good coach in general, and she would be a good coach in the NBA. Pau Gasol fully endorsing her is saying she's a great coach. She wouldn't be just a good coach in the NBA. She would be a great coach in the NBA. Pau Gasol giving a ringing endorsement of her. And Jakob says she's great. Like, he's really enjoyed being around her in his time in San Antonio. Cowboys saying, I think it would be awesome if Toronto got Becky. I think the city would be very interesting, and the Raptors would get a lot more of a spotlight in certain ways. And I think that it would be good overall. I think in some ways people may think it may not be good. There may be some negative stuff around it, but I don't think that's right. I think that actually the positives would outweigh the negatives in a lot of ways. Let's see. Isaac saying 100% on board with Becky Hammon. Most potential and most qualified. Loving this news. Well, we'll have to see how realistic it is as far as her like wanting to leave the Vegas Aces, and how much she hits it out of the park in the interview with Masai and Bobby. That's going to be a big part of it. Like I said, the biggest part of this whole thing is who interviews what and what they say. Masai said that he's going to really listen to what they give as plans for the offense and the defense. How are you going to use Scotty? Tell me, please. And okay, all right, are you going to win? We want to win a lot here. That's what Masai will say to them. It's like, how are you going to make us win more? Can you help us? How can you help us win more? And then they'll be like, well, Messiah, this is how we'll win. I know you love winning, and I want to bring more winning here. I figure if I say winning many times in my interview, you might hire me. So I'm going to say win, 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 win. Oh, he's hired. He's good, or she's good. I like her. She say win so many times. It could be that simple. No, it's not. They're going to have an intricate plan, and they'll sell it to him, just like it's Shark Tank. They'll be sitting there just like Mark Cuban and the rest of them, Robert Herbovich, and be like Bobby and Teresa and all them, Dan Gladman or whoever. And they're sitting there and they're listening. And they're like, oh, okay. All right. This is your product. You're selling us on your offense and your defense. Okay. What do you think, Bobby? Masai, I really kind of like her ideas with the offense here. Yeah. You know what? Maybe we'll invest in your Shark Tank project here. It's going to be that kind of feel for them. They got to presentate their whole ideas and sell it to them. And maybe they're like, nah, sorry, we're out. Nah, Charles Lee, sorry, bro. It's just not what we're looking for here. I'm sorry. It's going to be a lot like that. Shere Khan's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Good morning to Raptor Freak Rookie of the Year, Shere Khan, coming in this year with such a beautiful, positive energy, amazing energy from Shere Khan. We appreciate you being here, Rookie of the Year. The Becky news is something. Hope she comes to Toronto anyway as an assistant, even if she doesn't get the head coach job. Jerry looks more probable, though. Masai's going to take his time with this. Well, I'm going to break this down right now. She ain't coming here as an assistant. She's going to stay in Las Vegas if she's not the head coach. So that's not likely. This not likely she'll come here as an assistant. If she's going to do that, she'd just be back in San Antonio with Popovich. But who knows? Like we've got good, strong candidates in some ways. That's the important thing. We want a couple of good, strong candidates, and hopefully Masai can land one of them. So Jerry Stackhouse, Becky Hammon, Adrian Griffin, Earl Watson, Patrick Mutombo, Kenny Atkinson, Jama Mahalea. We got a lot of different names that we're looking at and interviewing. Wayne saying whether NBA or WNBA, Becky is the most qualified. She's a former player, and as a coach, she has won a championship. All we care about is having winning pedigree. There you go. Some people have argued that in some ways the WNBA coaching is more qualified than any college coaching or any European coaching or even any G League coaching. That WNBA's closest level to the NBA is what some people are saying on Twitter today. That level and what she does is higher than the other levels. And I don't know if that's true for sure, but in some ways it could be true that some people see the WNBA as a higher level than even college basketball for men or European basketball or the G League. The competition is that much higher because these are the best women in the world playing basketball in the WNBA. So I agree with Wayne. She's definitely other than Messina, as far as on that spreadsheet, the most decorated, most winning coach on that list. Messina's the highest, but he's the oldest guy, one of the older guys on there, and he's not really realistic and not somebody we're really pushing for. She's probably the most decorated person. Stackhouse, nah, not as decorated, that's for sure. G saying, my athletic nephew is coached by his mom and doesn't even ask dad for advice. At 5, they are asking him to play rep ball already. He really listens and respects her and would know no difference. This is true. Like, it's weird. Like, you hear more and more stories of players that listen to their mom and were coached by their mom. Ron Harper Jr. is a number one example of this. Ron Harper Sr., he's got all these rings and he's very famous in the NBA world from his time with the Bulls and the Lakers. But he didn't teach Ron Harper Jr. how to play basketball when he was little. It was his mom, and his mom played collegiately, and she was a very good women's basketball player. She was a very good player herself, and she gets all the credit from Ron for training him and teaching him and making him the player that he is. Not his dad. His dad was gone. His dad was doing other things like media or playing or coaching. He was raised by his mother on how to play basketball, and he gives her credit. And there's a lot of people that say this these days, that like, I didn't learn from my dad. I learned from my mom, and I've coached and been trained by my mother. And that's cool, G, that you have that in your own family, that you see that phenomena there. I think there's other people that mentioned this recently. I think there are some players on this team. I know Precious and OG and Pascal, they all have sisters. And they have a lot of sisters. So they have a lot of strong women in their lives already. And I know some of these guys have actually been trained and coached by women in their lives already that are on the Raptors. So this is not a weird occurrence or something like strange. This is common these days, that women are coaching their young boys on how to play. Tank for Scoot saying, hiring a coach just to appease the social justice warrior woke crowd is never the solution. That's not why we're doing this. Are you fucking listening to me, Tank for Scoot? This don't sound like you're fucking listening to me. Do you hear what I fucking said earlier, motherfucker? I said we'd hire somebody on the merit of their fucking skill and how good they are. I don't give a shit if she's a woman or not. She's the best fucking candidate. We hire her. You're not fucking listening, Tank for Scoot. You got 2 strikes. One more, you're fucking out, motherfucker. You're fucking out. I'm going to take your ass right out of here. You can scoot yourself right down the street. Outbound that, motherfucker. Yeah, I'll cuss a motherfucker out. You don't come correct here. You know you will get cussed here. Monique is saying Becky Hammon has more NBA experience than Nick Nurse had when he got the job. And just like him, she's won championships as a head coach in other pro leagues. Yeah, the resume is good for her, Monique. It's so good. That's what I'm saying. We're looking at her. That I don't care if she's what her gender is. I just care, is she fucking good? Is she going to coach this team to wins? That's what we care about. I don't care if she's a woman or not. Who cares about that? We just want to win. That's what Masai's going to say. We just want to win. I'm the same way. I just want to win. Becky Hammon likes to win. Okay, you're in the club. That's the way to look at it. Mike's saying, Lex, apparently Ime Udoka told a French newspaper that the Raptors were too woke for him. Hide your wives. This isn't going to play well in Canada. I'm going to speculate on this real quick. Let me do a Windhurst real quick on Ime Udoka and why he said that. He's probably heard, all right, listen, he's had a lot of time this last year, not coaching, a lot of free time, a lot of time to walk down an abandoned beach, nobody around, really think about his life and think about what got him to where he's at and where he was this past year. He's really had a lot of time to ponder. So I'm going to guess that Ime had a lot of time to get on social media and maybe like check the temperature of things. And well, yeah, you know what? We have a very strong female part of our fan nation. We have a very strong woke part of our nation. We have a very strong progressive and liberal-minded part of our nation. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the Raptors nation for being like that. And well, he could have been online and he could have been seeing like what the Raptors nation is talking about with him. And maybe he was insulted about how we weren't totally cool with his womanizing. Maybe he saw the Raptor Freak last summer tearing him up for his mistakes and getting canned from the Boston Celtics. Me going after him. Because this is in some ways, listen, I had to teach some lessons on this channel about womanizing and about power structures in employment places and why it's never right to sleep with a subordinate like he did. And in some ways, we had some learning lessons here for people in this chat. And that's important. Well, he maybe saw all this stuff. Maybe he saw me. Maybe he saw some tweets. And he's like, man, these people are very judgmental of me and my extramarital affairs. And like, oh, they're too woke. They're too woke. Like, it's very personal. That's probably what it is. It's like these guys can go look and see what the temperature's like in fan nations. And maybe he saw overwhelmingly the Raptors fan nation was not cool with how he dealt with things in Boston. In some ways, a lot of us were saying we don't really want him because of like his baggage. And maybe he saw that. So now he's doubling down and now he's saying, well, I'm against the wokeness of Toronto because they don't accept me for being a womanizer. I mean, that's it right there. Hello, Windhurst, Mike. It makes sense, logical Raptors fanatic. You logically think about it. That's why he's saying we're too woke because we didn't accept him as a possible person to come here in some ways. A lot of us were like, we don't fucking want him. And a lot of us were very happy when he got hired by Houston. So in some ways, he's hurt. He's hurt that we didn't accept him in our woke world because we don't like his baggage. And that's probably a main reason why he said this shit. So there you go. It's fine. You go ahead and be on that side with Phil Jackson and your anti-wokeness and your bullshit, Ime Udoka. That's not going to serve you, bro. It's not going to serve you, man. You want to go be on Fox News and talk about how, oh, they wouldn't hire me because I like to get my dick wet on the side. You know, whatever. Go do that. Go be on Fox News and go on the show and say, yeah, Toronto and Canada, they're so woke. What the hell is wrong with them? I know wokeness is a scourge on our country. I'm so glad that's another country. You know? So funny. Well, fun guy saying woke in many aspects is actually gross and disgusting. You think it's progressive to be teaching your kids the opposite of family values and progressive human nature? Woke isn't just Black Lives Matter and stuff. All right, fun guy. I'm gonna say this. Listen, woke is exactly this. Being woke means you're aware of the world changing and how it's progressing and how things need to change. Now, some people are likening it to a transgender shit that they're bullshit they're doing down in the States right now. That's not what it is. All wokeness is want us to be accepting of people being different and moving forward in the future as far as allowing people to have more freedom and be who they are. You know, it's a loaded term right now. Woke is a very good thing because that means you get the facts and you change your opinions and you become awakened to how things are changing. People that don't like woke it's a real telltale flag to me. It's like, all right, you're getting brainwashed against the word. The word is actually a positive word. It's not a negative word, and it has a lot to do with everything. Now, it comes with encompassing love and respect and acceptance of every kind of person, every kind of way in this world, whether it's binary, non-binary, whatever this, whatever that. I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom and rights. And these people have the right to be the life that they want to be. Now, you can start getting on that anti-family values train, but that's bullshit. Just have your family and have your own values and don't fucking worry about whether people are in drag or changing their gender. You know, this is the thing. You can control some of that. It's people really worried, oh, my kid's going to turn transgender because they see a fucking drag person in the library. Whatever. Get over yourself. In some ways, that's all fucking just bullshit, chicken littling, fear mongering. So if you want to get all fear-mongered by the forces that be, they're telling you to be afraid of people that are woke or transgender people, you go ahead and be a dupe. You can be a dupe in that way, fun guy. I'll allow that. But in some ways, it's stupid. It's really, really stupid. It's a loaded term, and wokeness is good. Trust me. They may not agree with everything that's woke, and that's fine. That's your right. But overall, it's a good thing, and it's a loaded term used by the right to come after people when actually, in some ways, is a compliment. Honestly, it's a compliment to me as far as things. Now, we can disagree on this, fun guy. Something we don't agree on. We agree on a lot of the basketball stuff. That's what's important. There we go. Space Cadet saying, logical, are you serious? I'm pretty sure he's probably right that he did actually probably say this. Once again, we have somebody out of pocket in a foreign language interview like Dragic and his out of pocket foreign language interview. Well, now there's another one, this French interview with Ime. I could see him saying this. You know, in some ways, he's pandering to his new franchise base, Houston, Texas. That's Texas. Of course, they're going to love his anti-woke talk there. So in some ways, he's like getting real good with the Rockets fan base by talking to anti-woke this, anti-woke that. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Monique saying, plus, the very first time a team gave her the job as a head coach, she won a title and coach of the year. She's a special talent, 15-year vet who won titles all over the world and then spent 8 years studying. Yeah, she's got a great resume. She really does. She has one of the best resumes of all the candidates, for sure. Isaac saying, I honestly think someone external is healthy for culture right now. Obviously needs to be a good fit, but I think this would be exciting for the players. I think it would be too. I'm serious. Like, this could be a kick in the butt and like kind of get people from being lackadaisical and casual about things. In some ways, once again, just hiring Becky Hammon makes us an underdog again. And that kind of fight in our spirit that Chris talked about in Hustle Play is a huge part of our culture, that we need to be kind of slighted and kind of be like considered the underdog or at a disadvantage. I'm not saying that she'd be a disadvantage, But in some ways, we would have an underdog kind of spirit just because she's our head coach. And that may be something that we've lost in the last 2 years that we want to recapture. We could get back just from having that leader in some ways. I think that would be very interesting. I think I agree with you. Someone external is more healthy, considering how toxic our season was this year. We need somebody new to come in and run the ship that can like not fall in any of the toxic patterns from this past year for sure. Blackhawk saying there's no harm in interviewing anyone. Doesn't matter who they are. The only one inconvenience is the interviewee because they have to fly here for the interview. Boo hoo. I'm sure they pay for it. I mean, I'll bet you like maybe even Larry sends his private jet to Vegas and gets her and brings her here. They'll do that kind of shit. In some ways, it is kind of like recruiting stuff. I love the story that Jerry Stackhouse had in his All the Smoke episode about his mom getting ready for the recruiters to come. They had one recruiter come in the morning. There was just donuts and coffee for him. But when Dean Smith came, she had already started cooking up some good food. She had this good cabbage and roast cooking in the kitchen, and it smelled so good when Dean showed up. And that was part of the whole thing with the recruiting trip, that she really wanted Dean to like Jerry and Jerry to like Dean so it would go to UNC. And that's what I'm saying. You'll do the little extra perks, especially for candidates that you are very much interested in possibly landing. So they could roll out the red carpet for her and get her here in all kinds of different ways and make it look like I may be wrong. It may be it's totally on her expense, but who knows? Larry could fly her in. They really could. Mike's saying, yeah, Space Cadet. There's a tweet from a French reporter in French about asking Ime Udoka about the Raptors, especially why he didn't take the job. He said it was a fit thing. Raptors are too woke. This is true. In some ways, this is so true. And in some ways, I don't care. Some people will be upset about this because we didn't get them because we're too woke, but I'm not upset about this. In fact, this is the way we protect ourselves from toxic. This is the way we protect ourselves from people that aren't good for us. If they're not cool with this part of our aspect of who we are, then they're probably not cool for us in some ways. I mean, look what happened in Boston. He had the best job in the world for himself, and he fucked that up because he was toxic. So our wokeness is anti-toxic, and in some ways, it keeps bad people away from us. So it's working. It's working. All right, Gene's here. Good to see Gene. Raptor Street, you know a lot when it comes to Raptors, and I love the way you dunked on Joey in your last podcast. Awesome. Thanks, Gene. I appreciate that, man. Well, listen, I love everybody come in here and talk to me, but at a certain point, we just don't have time to deal with knuckleheads and trolls. This really is an important space for positive, like good, like building and creating instead of destroying and just putting down and being negative and just coming after the players and all the people. We really want to do good things for this team. And in some ways, we need more spaces where people are building and creating and talking positively about the team instead of just tearing them down all the time. And that's a big part of this channel. If you're not positive about the Raptors, if you don't really have your heart in the right place about caring about them getting better and winning Larry O'Brien's, then this isn't the channel for you. And we'll find that out real quick. In some ways, what I was just talking about, the anti-wokeness, it's like, okay, we keep bad people away. Well, this is the same thing here. When we have people like Tank for Scoot who come in here and, want to be trolls or be negative or be crazy, well, they don't stick around. We got enough of the good ones and the real ones in here to keep this space like this. And I appreciate you being here, Gene, and that you enjoyed my, that's part of the fun. I know people love Chev getting revved up and just going off on people. Well, I do that, especially when we have anti-Raptors people come in here. Sometimes they'll be fans of other teams and I'll take them on. It'll be like a Boston fan and they'll be talking shit and I'll fucking go off on them. I'll do a fucking wrestling promo on them, just like a wrestler would. Jim Cornette, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper. These are who I get my inspiration for when I go off on people. So yeah, there's some entertainment in that on this channel for sure. And I appreciate you, Gene. I hope I'll see your name even more. I remember you from before. I remember your name from before. All right, Van Hoots here. Basketball Rewind is in the house. Check out Basketball Rewind, another great basketball-oriented YouTube channel on YouTube. Listen to what DeMar said about Becky. He outlined, though, how it is important that she played and how she was top-notch. This ain't a diversity hire. If she is hired, she's the best person for the job. Look at that. See? We're hearing a consistent thing here, that there is a general respect for her resume, her career, her accolades, her accomplishments, and that it's not looking at this is not a gender hire. This is not like a novelty thing. This is not something that this would be like for real. This is the best person for the job in some ways. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I love that Van Hoot is talking about DeMar and how he looks at her. And once again, check out Basketball Rewind for sure. MSJ saying she could bring the mindset of the Spurs, the needed discipline. Yak would know what she is like, and Yak we trust. Listen, if Jakob would sign off on her being our head coach, I'm sure it'd be good. And he'd be great bridge too. You can come talk to Pascal, OG, and Fred and say, look, this is how she is, and this is what she'll probably do. I'd be very excited about this. I mean, I'd be excited we got Stackhouse too. But, in some ways, Becky, the more you guys, I'm seeing such a positive reaction from you guys. That actually builds into more of my esteem for her, that I'm seeing that you guys really like the idea. In some ways, I wasn't sure how this stream would go today. I was thinking some people would be like, yeah, fuck this. We don't want her. We don't want this. We don't want that. But the overwhelming positivity about her is actually very encouraging, honestly. I really like this. Fiercely saying, speaking of MA, only one player attended his introductory press conference. Not that much of a support. I get it. They're on a vacation, but still interesting to foresee the team spirit and maturity. Yeah, if it was the Raptors, we would have had like 5 guys there probably. It's interesting. Yeah, I saw that too. It was basically Kevin Porter Jr. was the only one that was there, and he was probably only there because he was just working out in the building. It wasn't even because he was there for Ime Udoka. I'll bet you he was just there in their training facility doing things anyway. And they just happened to say, oh, we have a player in the building. Let's go get him to come into the press conference. I bet you he didn't even come just because it was the press conference. He didn't probably even know. It's just, oh, he's on hand. Will you come in and say hi to Ime, your new coach, KP? Yeah, sure. Let me go say hi to him. And it probably wasn't even like that he was coming to support him. He was just in the building. I'll bet you. It's just like at any given moment, there's probably one rocket there working out or something. Maybe always KBJ. So Carlos saying, I love this move by the Raps. Coach catching a wide net for our coach. We got to go on a fact-finding mission and find the best candidate, and it could very well be Becky Hammon. We'll have to find out. Trust in Masai. They're going to be in there finding. I wish I could be a fly on the wall for these interviews. It'd be so fun to see the pitches and see what they're saying and like actually hear like their nuts and bolts plans for how they would run the Raptors on offense. Oh, it would be so fun to see. Gene saying, did you know Udoka called us too woke and stated that as a real reason he did not join us? He said he's too hard for us and our woke media won't accept him. He's racist like Phil Jackson. He's not racist. He's more like a misogynist. Let's just put it that way. It's a different thing. But it is hilarious that he said this. He's doubling down on things. This is fine. I don't take this as an insult. Some people may think this is an insult towards Toronto, but I think this is just facts. Yeah, we are woke. And some will say we're too woke. I don't think we're woke enough. How about that? I'll be on the other side and say we're not woke enough, MA. Sorry, we are not woke enough. You think we're too woke? Well, I don't think we're woke enough. There you go. It's all perception. He wants to show that he's a backwards kind of person that's like anti-woke. That's on him. That's his life. That's his life. Basketball Rewind saying, regarding Fred, man wants to get paid above all, and there's nothing wrong with that. Perhaps that is here, perhaps that is elsewhere. Ultimately, his family comes first, as it should. When I hear him say his family comes first, I don't necessarily hear money when he says that. I think he means that he wants his family to be happy and comfortable. And in some ways, Shantae and the kids have their family and friends here, and that he would be most comfortable here. I can read it that way too. You can read it as, okay, he's saying he wants to take care of his family first, and it means more money to be generational wealth and take care of him forever. Sure, he's got that to a degree already. But in some ways, it's not really the money at a certain point. It has to do with like the comfort of your family is what he means. Like, I don't want to pack up all of Fred Jr.'s toys and move to Orlando all of a sudden and have them have to do a whole different life down there. I don't think that's what he wants. They're very comfortable here in Toronto, and he loves being in Canada. In fact, he wants to be an honorary Canadian. He said he wants to be a Raptor for life at the beginning of the season. I don't think that this tumultuous bad season has changed it enough to the point where he wants to just leave now. So that's what I'm saying. When he says family comes first, I don't always read that as he wants to leave or wants more money. In fact, I read family comes first means I don't want to move them. Because they got 3 kids that are under 5. They're very, very young. They're in their formative years. And in some ways, they're very happy and like settled here in Toronto. They've been here for 7 years. And that's a lot. In some ways, Chris and Fred are lazy in this way. They don't want to leave Toronto, partly because they have everything established here and it's easier. It's such a headache to unpack, especially if you haven't really been traded that much. Fred has not been traded before. He's only played for the Raptors in the NBA. And in some ways, he probably wants to be like Larry Bird and keep his whole entire career on one franchise. These are factors that go into the whole family first thing. Is like he's thinking about not having to move them. Trust me, that's part of it. Let's see. Isaac saying Hammond equals young gun stepping up. Yak is back. WNBA on the Canadian map. Championship pedigree restored. Also, damn right, representation matters. Want to downgrade from Nurse? Then choose someone else. Oh, Isaac Campbell's seeing her on the same level as Nick Nurse. Maybe she's even a little bit higher. That's what I'm saying. Come and improve on what Nick Nurse did last year, Becky. Come in and show us that the Raptors could have been way, way better with a better leader and a better coach, and do it. Be better than the boys. And oh my gosh, the Raptors fans will love you so much if you have so many wins. And in some ways, we'll have a really cool swagger. And the ladies in our franchise, in our Raptors nation, will have somebody proud, like a hero. Seriously, for all as much as Vince Carter did things with Canada with basketball, she could do things for the whole damn sport. For little young women that want to fucking have a chance to be a coach in the NBA, that's a huge glass ceiling to shatter. And not only that, for all of sports. Like, has anybody done this on any team in any fucking major league yet? No. No, there's no baseball manager that's female. There's no NFL coach that's female. There's no hockey coach that is female. This would be the first one in all the four major sports. So that in a way is also huge in some ways. This is something we can't take lightly. Seriously. Josh Monroe saying Raps front office doubling down on the search. Now the debate about who can get the job is changing. Yeah, it's changing day to day. And that's why this channel is a good place to come check in every morning, because I'm on top of it all. In fact, this is one of the main things I do with my day is I'm constantly watching for the news for the Raptors and searching for everything that I can find out about what's going on. And I know a lot of you guys have busy lives. You know, you're doing a lot of different things during the day. You got to juggle a lot. Well, in some ways, I give you the digest of the whole thing from the day before. And that's why I'm coming in with the knowledge of the 5 candidates that Woj named yesterday and answering any questions y'all have about them and just keeping you guys up to date as much as possible. So yeah, it's ever changing day to day. Tomorrow, we're going to do a Saturday Share the Love Club for Dr. Alex McKechnie, y'all. We've seen how the Clippers went out of the playoffs this week with Kawhi Leonard shelved and Paul George. And we're kind of like, wow, we feel really lucky. We won the championship with a healthy Kawhi in 2019. And a lot of that can be attributed to Mr. Dr. Alex McKechnie. So we're going to celebrate Dr. Alex tomorrow on the Share the Love Club, one of our best assets on our team doctor, who keeps our players healthy and out on the court. And he's just such a badass. I'll tell you some stories about Dr. Alex tomorrow on the Saturday Share the Love Club tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. talking Dr. Alex. So yeah, come in for that one tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We'll celebrate Dr. Alex McKechnie. That is right. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Fiercely saying, I'm curious to see who will participate at the Rico Hines runs this summer. Also, will it be blasted on YouTube like the past years? Yes, it will be. That's always the pattern. There's always Rico Hines YouTube stuff. And in fact, there was more than ever last summer. And it was very extensive. They showed almost every day. Usually we get like a little mixtape of the best highlights of the moments, but we actually saw good long chunks and a lot of it. Rico has expanded his coverage of it, and I'm all about it. And I'm sure we'll see more of it. He was super successful with all that stuff, and he got so much more prestige and like looks on what he's doing there that he, of course, he'd be dumb not to put it on blast like he did last summer. And hopefully our Raptors will show up like they did last year in a similar kind of way. Now, I'm sure that it will happen all that kind of way. So I'm looking forward to it. I love the Rico Hines runs. Carlos saying, love it when Lex goes in. Listen, they give me an opportunity, I will. And like, look, tank for Scoot, man. What the fuck, man? I didn't ban you. You're still here. If you're still here, man, listen, come on. Let's make a bridge here. I want to kind of get right with you, man, even though your handle's stupid and all your points so far have been so dumb. Bandon saying, good morning. Yes, I want the best coach that blends with what we have and where we want to be, male or female. I have no issues. Actually, I think she would mentally live rent-free in the alpha males. That's another part of it. Bandon's laughing about that. That's another part of it. You know, that's the whole thing. Like when I was a little kid, I grew up in a very chauvinistic, patriarchal society in Tallahassee, Florida, where, the men and the women had their roles. And it was such a big deal. If you got beat by a girl, oh my gosh, you got beat by a girl. You got beat by a girl. In some ways, that will be kind of some of that. Because, like, these anti-woke people that are chauvinists, they will really get their feelings hurt if they get beat. Like, imagine Becky Hammon. We go down to Houston and we play Ime Udoka, the antithesis of Becky Hammon. In some ways, this is kind of what's setting up right now. We hire Becky and we have Ime with all this bullshit saying we're too woke and like his whole past of being a womanizer. And it's all of a sudden our woman coach against the womanizer in Houston, and we beat the shit out of the Rockets. And then, like, it's like a victory for women against MA. Think about that. That's awesome. That's so cool in some ways. I love it. Fiercely saying, if he did say that, indeed, I'd rather be woke than soft, lacking smarts and common sense. Boy, bye. I know. Seriously. I think that a lot of people are confused about the woke term because it has turned into it's like liberal or communist or something. They really loaded it with a lot of really fucked up like connotations that aren't really like fair to it. That really aren't really what it is. If they really thought about what it is and what it means, they'd understand it better. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. All right, Mike's saying woke means aware of things outside of yourself. It's to be not ignorant to things that have to do with others. Exactly. That's exactly right. That's a great definition by Mike. And that's right. G saying Stanley Johnson tweeted he wants to see Becky win the chip and coach the Raptors. Stanley Johnson said that? You ghost animal. One of my favorite old Raptors. Misunderstood dude. Such a badass in some ways. And look, Stanley Johnson wants to see Becky Hammon come to Toronto and win a championship here. I love that. Blackhawk saying if you're not woke, then you are asleep. True freedom is the ability to form your own opinion without being told to follow the mainstream opinion because I said so. I'm with you on that. Seriously. Listen, being woke is the ability to do stuff. Now, some people are worried because woke people come and tell them how to live their lives and try to say, in a lot of ways, that's bullshit. Woke people aren't trying to do that. It's just that maybe they want you to see the whole perspective and maybe be a little bit more caring and understanding in certain ways. It's a weird loaded term. There's so many different ways people look at it and the way people think that what the meaning is, that it's kind of weird at this point. I'm all about freedom. And listen, if you don't want to be woke, then don't be woke. I'm okay with that. That's the problem. I'm not anti-woke. If you want to be anti-woke, go ahead. You can keep sleeping. That's the problem. It's the people that are anti-woke that are mad at people for being woke that are wrong. That's the crazy thing. The woke people have no problem with you being anti-woke. Just be anti-woke, but just be on your own and stuff like that. It's a weird situation. I don't want to get too much into it. All right, Tank for Scoot saying, ridiculous. Getting strikes for wanting garbage players traded away. Laugh my ass off. I guess you like mediocrity. Garbo stream, Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean is the man behind the shine. Is it wet or is it dry? It's dry, baby. It's dry right on out of here. Woo! There's your strike, bro. No, you're not in our nation, bro. We haven't got enough time with this. I go stream for 3 hours. I don't want to waste time with some jackass like you, so I'm not going to do it. One more time. Let me just say what you're saying. Ridiculous. Getting strikes for wanting garbage players traded. Fred's not a garbage player. Fred is a Raptors legend. He is a legend. Put fucking respect on his name. That's how I know you're not a Raptors fan. Because Fred VanVleet is a legendary story of coming from nowhere as an unsigned player, undrafted player, and made himself into an all-star and a franchise leader. He is a legend. Put respect on his name and shut your fucking mouth now because you're out of here, Tank for Scoot. You go on, scoot yourself down the street. Oh, I guess I like mediocrity. No, I don't. I'm with Masai Ujiri. We're winning, and we will win, and we'll do it the right way. We don't need none of this shit. We will do it the right way, and we'll make it happen the right way. Because where there's a will, there's a way, and the genius way is Bobby Webster, Masai Ujiri way. And we're going to do it, baby. We're going to get there again. Oh, yeah. You think we're mediocre. We'll show you how fucking mediocre we are next year, Tank for Scoot. Yeah, we'll show you real quick with our new coach and our new player that we're going to get this summer, and boom, we're going to come in gangbusters, just like 2018, 2019 when the NBA champions were the Toronto Raptors, baby. Yeah, you see this, bitch? This says world champions, motherfucker. I don't even know what team you're rooting for, Scoot, because you ain't rooting for the Raptors, baby. If you're anti-Fred, you are not rooting for the Raptors. I'm sorry. That's just a rule on the Raptors Free Channel. If you are anti-Fred, you are not rooting for the Raptors because Fred is inherently the Raptors, baby. Yeah, he's a legend. Put respect on his name. Yeah, G-Sen, the Nets fans want Becky now. Look, they see us talking people up here. Man, we are powerful. We're too woke, and we start talking up coaching people, then people want to get people. People are hearing about Becky Hammon coming to Toronto. Oh, Nets is like, let's get Becky Hammon. What? You just got Jack Vaughn. What are you doing? G saying tank for Scoot. Just be respectful. This isn't an anti-Fred chat. He can be criticized like everyone, but there are other places for that anti-Fred chatter. Exactly. And seriously, if you have a criticism of Fred, give me specifics. Don't just say he's trash and you want him to go to Orlando. I've heard that. I see that on Twitter every day. It's bullshit. And there's fucking idiots that say that. Give me a very intelligent argument and supporting evidence. And maybe you can sway me on your position on Fred VanVleet. But otherwise, I'm not going to listen to insults and just blanket, let's get him out of here, because it's not necessary and it's stupid, honestly, because it ain't going to happen. Seriously. There's all kinds of signs that point that Fred is a Raptor for life, baby. All right, let's go. Logical saying tanking for high picks doesn't work. Philly hasn't been to the Eastern Conference Finals since 2001. Tanking isn't effective. Internal development got us way further and actually got a chip without the process. He just hit it out of the park. Thank you, Mike, for hitting it out of the park with all that. It is all very logical, as your name put it. Mugarbe Lennon is here. Good to see Mugarbe, one of my favorite new Raptor freaks. He's been here for a bit. Always good to see Mugarbe. Morning, Raptor freaks. I don't know much about her, but if she is the best person for the job, let's go get her. Yeah, she's a WNBA champion. She's an international women's basketball player. Won a lot as a player. She didn't win the WNBA championship as a player, but that's not a huge deal. She's coached under Greg Popovich for a long, long time. So there's a lot of things to like about her. MSJ saying, just like any ideology, woke can be taken too far. Word to the wise, there are real dangers in being too nice in this world. I can get behind that. I get that. That's kind of what Shev's argument is about. Like, we need an edge. We need to keep competitive edges and stuff like that. I can get that. Woke can be taken too far. There may be some social justice warriors that are getting their nose put into places too much and causing trouble in certain ways. I can get behind that. There are Karens that are too woke. I can get behind that. There are Karens on both sides. There's anti-woke Karens and there's woke Karens. And maybe they put their nose in somewhere like Sheila Broflovsky a little bit too much and getting involved, and it's not their business. I can get behind that, MSJ, sure. I can get behind that. There may be people pushing things a little bit too far in the name of wokeness also. And that's true. Randolph Phillips is saying, good morning, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. And the excitement grows. June through July can't come soon enough. I can't wait for near the draft. We'll have a coach by then for sure. And in some ways, that's the thing I'm really excited about. We hired the coach and then boom, let's see what this offseason does and what the addition of the Raptors is going to look like for 2023, 2024 could be very, very interesting. Guardian Transit saying, I believe you hired the best available. Here we have to trust Masai Ujiri. Yeah. In some ways, listen, when he hired Nick Nurse, I wasn't sure if that was the best available, but it did seem like it was at that time. I very much wanted him to hire Jerry Stackhouse. I've said this in the last day, but he hired Nick Nurse and I had to trust Masai. And I was like, okay, well, we found out real quick to trust Masai is smart because Nick Nurse was a fantastic coach and we won the championship in his first year. So this is a really good pattern with Masai. We trust Masai that he's going to make the right decision. In fact, maybe hiring the coach is one of the smartest things and best things he does as a GM. Like in some ways, seriously, this is a very important position that they don't take lightly and they are thorough. And I think that he hit such a home run with Nick Nurse before that he already has a pattern of batting 1,000 at this. Well, maybe he'll bat 1,000 again on this one, and he'll hit it out of the park again with the next coach that he hires in the next month or so. Monique saying Yahoo Sports Canada YouTube is now officially cutting clips of hustle play and more. That's awesome. Little blurbs, little short pieces. I like that. Race Mode's here. Good to see Race Mode Daily. Always good to see you, my friend. I really thought I was going to take a vacation from basketball this summer, but Lex is on a roll and doesn't miss a beat. I'm still tuning in on the daily Lexathon. Let's go, Becky. Yes, Edmund. Edmund wanted to take a break from Raptors, but the content here is too fun. I love it, Edmund. That's awesome. Say hey to your kids and your family, man. I think everything's going good for you, man. Always good for you, bro. I love seeing your stuff on Instagram. Blackhawk saying, relax, people. We're going to get a nice draft pick and return to our above 500 way, no matter who is our coach. I think this is true. I really do. I hope it is. I don't want to go through another season like this year. I don't think any of the players want to go through another season like this year. So there's a lot of gumption to get it out of the mud and be enthusiastic and come back with a fresh approach and maybe not be so casual and be very serious and cutthroat about things. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, Blackhawk. I think that we're on. It really is kind of like a pattern with your years. It's like Tampa season, come back up. Philadelphia exit. Next season down. Next season back up. It's like a wave. It's going to be a little bit like that, up and down years. And I think we're about to go back up. Let's see. Abandon saying, I keep VanVleet. I'm biased. I'm a fan of his, but he has a lot of haters that think one player should win it all or carry the loss with shame. I hate those fans. Laugh out loud. I know. I know, and I know. So I'm totally with you, Abandon, on all of this. I'm a huge fan of Fred's, and I am biased towards him, but I have to counterbalance all the hate towards him. That's just not fair or necessary. And I appreciate you being on my side, Abandon. Fiercely saying 3 strikes for Tank for Scoot. That's right, in the toilet, in the garbage can. Shoot, it's like a basketball shot, and it's in. That's right. Abandon saying, well, scooting is what my dog does when he has worms. Tank for Scoot. Scoot that ass on the carpet to get them worms out of that butthole. Yeah. He has his meds now. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear the dog's on the mend with the meds, laughing my ass off. All right, let's see. Let me real quick. This is what I love. Pascal Propaganda on Twitter has said, how does this a coaching candidate sound to you? Played professionally with several all-league selections, took on an assistant coaching position with a Hall of Famer for nearly a decade, won a championship in their first season as a head coach. That's a top-tier head coaching resume, and that is Becky Hammon's resume right there. That is in summation. That it sounds like a great candidate to be the next coach of the Raptors just from that resume. All right, Scotty Barnes on Instagram celebrating Lamar Jackson becoming the highest paid player in the NFL. We know that Scotty loves Lamar. And like, look, Scotty was going to follow Lamar no matter where he went. If he was going to leave Baltimore, well, he's going with Lamar Jackson because that's his dude. Scotty's so proud of Lamar becoming the most highest paid player in the NFL yesterday. You know, this is a crazy story. Lamar fired his agent recently, and his mother negotiated this contract and got him the highest paid contract in NFL history. You go, Mama Jackson. Look at that. Look at that. And that's so fun. Maybe more players will get mom to represent them in the boardroom. I could just imagine Lamar Jackson's mom and they're arguing with the front office of the Ravens for the contract for her son. No, this is my son. I know how good he is. You better pay him right. I'm not leaving here until this. And like, oh, you want to deal with a sassy mom who's standing up for their son in this situation? Yeah, that's a force to be reckoned with. In fact, this may be one of the smartest things I've ever seen a professional player do. Put your mom in charge of negotiating your contract with the front office and see what she can get. You go, Lamar Jackson. You go, Scotty Barnes, and your fandom of Lamar Jackson also. And he's also very happy on there also that they have signed another player, or they got him in the draft. Flowers from Boston College is going to the Ravens. Scotty's showing his love for the Ravens franchise on Instagram yesterday. Good stuff. All right, real quick, we got 2 games tonight in the playoffs for the NBA. Memphis is in LA for game 6. They got to win this game to get a game 7 against Memphis, or they're going to be out. The crew chief is Tony Brothers. Kevin Scott and Sean Corbin are the other 2 refs. The refs favor the Lakers. Tony Brothers and Sean Corbin do, but Kevin Scott does favor the Grizzlies as the middle ref. So 2 refs are favoring the Lakers historically, with Kevin Scott favoring the Grizzlies. We'll have to see if the Grizzlies can stay alive. I'm really rooting for y'all, Memphis. Keep this series going. I want y'all to beat the Lakers and put LeBron out, because it's not what the NBA wants. And I want what the NBA doesn't want. In the other game, I'm going for Kings also. They have a tough matchup in game 6 against the Warriors on their home court. David Guthrie is the crew chief with Bill Kennedy and Ben Taylor as the other refs. David Guthrie very, very much favors the Golden State Warriors. Like, it's crazy. They're one of the highest win percentage teams for him in his refereeing career. And Sacramento is one of the worst winning percentage teams in his career. So David Guthrie very much could be coming there to choke the life out of the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs tonight as the crew chief in that game. Bill Kennedy and Ben Taylor both favor the Golden State Warriors also. So no help coming for Sacramento from the refs tonight. So, yeah, there's your ref report for the 2 playoff games tonight. Favoritism for the Lakers and the Warriors as expected. That's the NBA story they want to write, because that's the round they probably want. The Lakers versus the Warriors is gangbusters. In some ways, that's really what they're trying to steer towards. You can tell. Now, if they got the Grizzlies and the Warriors, woohoo, that would be good too. So consider letting Ja and company get through. I want to see Dylan Brooks beat LeBron. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Monique is saying, so is Brittany Griner officially playing now? Well, the WNBA season is going to start up soon. And she just said yesterday in her press conference she would never play internationally ever again. And that totally makes sense. I mean, if you were in a Russian jail like she was last year and the way it was, holy crap, I would not be wanting to play internationally in any other countries outside the US either. I mean, she'll come play here in Canada. Like if she wanted to, she could play in Canada, but I don't know if there's much prestige in the league here. But she's definitely not going overseas or going to Europe or anywhere like that after that bad experience in Russia playing in their league. So you go, Brittany Griner. And I love that, like, she looks really big, like strong. She looked like she really got in the weight room since her experience last year in Russia. And she's looking really strong. In some ways, she's going to bring way more attention to the WNBA because of her story. And this is so good. There's a lot of really interesting stories around women's basketball right now, whether it's the LSU thing with Caitlin Clark, all that stuff, whether it's the things like Becky Hammon with us, whether it's something like Brittany Griner and her story. People will be paying more attention to the WNBA this summer for sure. And that's great for the growth of their league. I love it so much. But yeah, I'm glad to see she's back and she's looking stronger. And who can blame her for not wanting to play anywhere else anymore? Fiercely saying, every time we show interest in a player or coach, the others start lurking, yet they're not giving us our flowers or respect. It's fine. They cheat off our test all the time, and that's fine. In some ways, maybe they come and watch me other than like Raptors fans. Maybe there are people in other fan nations or franchises that are coming to see what the Raptors freak is saying too. Who knows? Monique saying, W Stream Lex, let's go Raptors. Always exciting times on every side of things. All right, y'all, let's wrap it up real quick. A couple of little side stories in the NBA real quick. The thing that happened with Anthony Edwards on his way out of the game when they lost to the Nuggets was unfortunate, but I think it's really one of these situations similar to what happened with Masai and the security guard, where it's a frivolous lawsuit or frivolous charges. That man had no intent. Anthony Edwards, his lawyer has said that he had no intention of hurting anyone when he threw that chair. He did not know that anyone was there, and that's obvious and evident from the footage. But there's some people that are going after a bag. They're coming after him for this, that we're just having to be standing by there. And they're really like, it's kind of like when you fender bender somebody and they get out of the car and they put the thing around their neck and they come back to exchange information with you. There's a little bit of that going on here. I mean, really. And the way people are coming after Edwards and trying to say he's such a horrible person for flinging a chair like that, that's bullshit. You know, if you could see him on the way out, the chair was in his way and he just wanted to move it. And if he had known he was going to hit anybody, I'm sure he'd have felt awful. There was no intent in this whatsoever. And honestly, because they can probably prove there's no intent, he's not going to get in trouble for this. His lawyer will have a case that'll say there's no intent. It's just opportunists. Listen, he's already out and he feels bad. You're going to fucking pile on him worse with a lawsuit like this? Yeah, that's bullshit, Denver Nuggets staff. I'm sorry. That's bullshit. Frivolous lawsuit in some ways. I really do think that is frivolous lawsuit. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about from I think that's it. I think that was the only big major story I wanted to talk about other than what I've talked about already. Let's see. Fiercely saying oh yeah, we read that. And Monique has said that. And Mike Sam W Stream and Infamous saying, salute freaks. I pray we don't hire Becky. We're not the NBA experimental lab to see if things work. Well, I mean, that's the side of things. And I remember you said that in the comments last night. You're saying you don't want us to be like the test, like the experimentation of having a female head coach. I think that that's kind of short-sighted in some ways. In some ways, we shouldn't be looking at her gender. I know that it is a factor and it is something that is a part of it, but in some ways, it isn't, though. Infamous, in some ways, it really isn't. One of the things in this stream already, I don't know when you showed up. You just showed up now. We talked a lot about how it doesn't really matter, like whether it's race or gender. We just want the best candidate. And if Becky Hammon is the best candidate among all of them, among the men and the women, then we should hire her. And don't even worrying about being experimental or being like a cutting edge or anything like that. In fact, that's where we get success, is by daring to be cutting edge and by daring to do things like this. So in some ways, I don't want you to think of this as some sort of experiment, because it's not. It's a very tried and tested thing as far as her part with Popovich in San Antonio, her success with the WNBA Las Vegas Aces, and just her resume in general. So in some ways, it's not an experiment. Trust me, this would be a very serious person coaching our team that would do a very good job. And I fully believe in her, and I think she would do fantastic. So I don't look at it the same way as you. Some people may look at it as like, okay, this is a little experimental, and this may cause problems. But I think that I could see there may be way more positive benefits to having her as our head coach than negative detractions. That in some ways it may be actually we may find a way more huge benefits to having her as our coach than actual problems. You might be surprised. Seriously, there may be some weird shit that happens because of it. So you know what, your point of view is something that I thought we would hear at times, and it's valid. I mean, it is very valid. This is unknown, so it could be the experimental is the right word, I guess, in a way. But I don't want you to think that she's any different than any man coaching our team, because she wouldn't be. She probably would not be. Isaac saying on paper, she is the best candidate. Yeah, yeah, I agree with Isaac. She really is. She's the best candidate at this point on my spreadsheet as far as like her credentials and the things that have to do with her. In a lot of ways, she is the best candidate. All right, guys, I'm at the goats here. Who's ready for Becky Hammon? What's up, y'all? How is y'all's day going? I really hope we can get her. She did a great job last year in Las Vegas. I trust any coach coming from under Coach Pop. There you go. Amit the Goat's giving a ringing endorsement for Becky Hammon from Israel, and Amit will be here for the Global Jam very soon. Cool Cat saying Jaden Ivey learned his basketball skills from WNBA players that his mom coached. Skylar is his favorite basketball player. Man is basketball. That's exactly right. Like, he's the one I remember now because his mom played in the WNBA, and she taught Jaden Ivey how to play basketball, and he gives a lot of credit to her. There's a lot of young NBA players that actually were taught by women. There's a lot more than we think. Infamous is saying the Spurs should hire her. Why haven't they? She grew up in the system. Well, it's because Popovich hasn't been ready to retire yet. I'll bet that's very much what the plan is, Infamous. That if Popovich retires, then she's probably going to take that job right after him. So in some ways, maybe Masai could scoop her before that happens. Spurs fans may be very pissed off if we hire Becky Hammon because they may already think that this is going to happen, that they have this all lined up, that Becky Hammon will come back and coach the Spurs after Popovich retires. It's really Popovich holding that up. I think they would have hired her already if he had already retired. So in some ways we could scoop her from them because she may be the incumbent for the Spurs once Popovich retires. Fiercely saying, I'm anti-Lakers, so rooting for the Grizzlies. I like Golden State, and I think they could put the Celtics out in the finals if it happened. Well, they did it last year, so that hopefully they could do it again if it gets to that point. But we don't want it to get that point. In some ways, I'm fully supporting Knicks Nation at this point. The fact that the Knicks are in the second round of the playoffs this year, in some ways, I want to go with it, even against old man Lowry. I was telling some of my very good Knicks fans that I'm with them on the east side rooting for the Knicks because in some ways I want to see them get some shine and get some success. I don't want Philly and Boston to get success. In Miami, I'd be okay with it, but in some ways I don't. I really don't. Miami Nation's kind of annoying. So yeah, it's really interesting what's happening with all that. And I'm not for the Warriors, but I'm definitely for the Grizzlies for sure. Shirkan saying, I believe Masai is dunking on MA for comments by bringing in Becky. So glad about it. In some ways, that is kind of a silent dunk. Okay, you're going to accuse us of being too woke. Well, we'll show you just how woke we are. We might hire the first ever female in a professional major league of sports in North America. And that is very much like that. Infamous saying they're giving it to Duncan. Pop already said it. Oh, they want to let Tim Duncan coach? Well, that doesn't make any sense. He should already be in their assistant coaching if he's getting groomed to be the next coach of the Spurs. He can't learn how to coach from not being there. If they're just letting him go and swim and live his life and do whatever he does by himself, like hidden from the spotlight, that's not the best way to groom him to be their next coach. He should have been in there on the staff working next to Pop on the sidelines all the time. So I don't totally believe this. Duncan, he wouldn't be a bad coach. I think he could do all right. But then again, I don't know if he wants to be in the spotlight anymore. We barely ever see that dude. And he's kind of just hiding and living his life after the game. Are you positive about this? Because in some ways it doesn't make sense. He should be on that bench if he is. Let's see. Cool Cat saying we hired Nick Nurse without minimum NBA experience. Becky has more NBA coaching experience at that point than Nick Nurse when he was hired. Folks, leave gender out of it. We are looking for the best coach for our organization. Exactly. I stand with Cool Cat, and whether that makes me woke or not, that so be it. Label me woke. I'm for the best candidate, regardless of gender, race, or whatever. I just want the best basketball coach we can get. Mike saying Miami Golden State Warriors Nuggets final. That's a weird one. That's a weird one. One of those teams in the finals. You think Miami's going to get all the way to the finals? Babe, Jimmy Butler's Himmy Butler. Maybe you're right. Fiercely saying, if the Raps don't go to the finals, I'm against any team in the East and believe only Golden State Warrior can put them out. Wink, wink, Celtics. I don't know. Maybe Phoenix has got a really interesting team right now. They're very deadly, and it may be time for the Phoenix Suns to win their first championship ever with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. That team is a juggernaut. In some ways, Phoenix is getting forgotten as being a real legitimate chance to win the championship right now. In fact, they may be the favorite out west at this point in some ways, because they're getting a synergy at a weird time, and they did not lose very much since Kevin came to Phoenix. They had only lost like one game with him in the lineup since he's come there. So in some ways, the Suns are looking like a real juggernaut nobody's paying attention to. Let's see. Isaac saying at Shere Khan called this before it was reported. Rookie of the year dunking. Bam, 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 dunk, the dunk, 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 dunk. Ahmed saying, I think Pop may leave the Spurs before. I think he's tired of losing. Only way I think he'll retire with the Spurs is if they get Wemby. He'll probably give him the Tim Duncan, which would be so cool. Well, we'll see. I mean, that may be dependent on whether he wants to coach another year. It's like, let's see if we win the Wemby sweepstakes. Maybe they get second. They get Scoot Henderson. Who knows? Maybe, he may. I think Pop's going to be around next year still, for sure. At least for the first year of this high draft pick that they're going to get, this draft pick. Because they're going to get a top 3 pick. They're going to be in the top 3. They're definitely going to get in the top 3, if not number 1, which is what I'm hoping. Infamous is saying Lakers Celtics final. The league wants it due to the passing of Bill Russell. I can't disagree with this. If they can write the script for this season, they would love to see the Lakers versus Celtics in the finals, with the Celtics beating the Lakers in the year that Bill Russell passed. If they could have that all go down that way, you're exactly right, Infamous. They would be all about that. It would make the Celtics nation feel so nostalgic and crazy. It's been 15 years since they won a championship. And in some ways, the NBA may think that they're due. And in a lot of ways, they're set up to do it. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Once again, I have a bounty on the Celtics. If any team takes the Celtics out of the playoffs, I will wear their gear on this channel. So there's my bounty on the Celtics specifically. Put them out. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. Please subscribe to my channel. I had a great influx of new subscriptions. If you're one of my new subscribers, welcome. I really, really appreciate y'all coming in, and I hope you'll join us live and interact with us on this chat. And it's like everything you guys say, I'll read it, even if it's Scoot, tank for Scoot. And but at some point, you get a couple chances, and if you're not with us on the Rapid Freak tip, yeah, you will get shown the door. That's just how it is. So please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I appreciate all the new follows. It's really awesome. Thank you, Infamous. Have a great day too. I totally understand your concerns, but we want to hire the best coach possible. And if the best coach possible just happens to be a woman, so be it. That's how I look at it. Racemo saying, take care, everyone. Carlos saying, happy Friday, everybody. TGIF. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy some basketball later. And have a great weekend. It's springtime in Toronto. It's time to get out there, plant some stuff, touch grass, as Scotty would say, and just enjoy your life and show appreciation for your loved ones. That's how you make life good, is appreciate the good things in it. All right, y'all. Let's have a great weekend, and let's go Raptors.